The hero of the tale which I beg the most to help me tell is that resourceful man who roamed the wide world after he sacked the holy citadel of Troy. He saw the cities of many people and he learned their ways. He suffered many hardships of the seas in his struggles to preserve his life and bring his comrades home. But he failed to save those comrades. In spite of all his efforts, it was their own sin that brought them to Cadu. For in their folly they devoured the oxen of Hyperion. The sun and the gods saw to it that they should never return. This is the tale I pray the divine muse to unfold to us. Begin it, goddess, at whatever point you will. All the survivors of the war had reached their homes by now, so put the pelts of battle and the sea behind them. Odysseus alone was prevented from returning to the home and wife he longed for by that powerful goddess, the Nymph, who wished him to marry her and kept him in her vaulted care. Not even when the ruling seasons brought in the year which the gods had chosen for his homecoming to Ithaca was he cleared of his troubles and safe. Among his friends. Yet all the gods were sorry for him except Poseidon, who pursued the heroic Odysseus with relentless malice till the day when he reached his own country. Poseidon, however, was now gone on a visit to the distant Ethiopians, the farthest outpost of mankind, half of whom live where the sun goes down and half where he rises. He had gone to child of Uranus and Kia, the father of Uranus, and he is the god of the sun. Except a sacrifice of bulls and rams, and there he sat and enjoyed the pleasures of feast. Meanwhile, the rest of the gods had assembled to the palace of Olympian Zeus, and the father of men and gods opened a discussion among them. He had been thinking of that nobleman, Augustus, whom Agamemnon's son Orestes to his own great renown, and it was thus in his mind that Zeus now addresses the immortal. What a lamentable thing it is that men should blame the gods and regard us as the source of their troubles, when it is their own wickedness that brings them sufferings worse than any which destiny allots them. Consider Augustus, who floated destiny by stealing Agamemnon's wife and murdering her husband when he came home, though he knew the ruin this would entail. Since we ourselves had sent Hermes the need giant slayer to warn him neither to kill the man nor to make love to his wife. For Aristos, as Hermes pointed out, was bound to avenge Agamemnon as soon as he grew up and thought with longing of his home. Yet, with all his friendliness counsel, Hermes failed to dissuade him, and now Agamemnon Augustus has paid the final price for all his sins. The goddess of the flashing eyes, Athena, took him up at once. Father of our son of Kronos, king of kings, the end of Augustus is just that he deserved. May all who act as he did share his fate. It is for Odysseus that my heart is wrong, the wise but unlucky Odysseus, who had been parted so long from all his friends and is pinning on a lonely island far away in the middle of the sea. The island is well wooden and a goddess lives there. Child of the malevolent Atlas, who knows the sea in all its depth and with his own shoulder supports the great columns that hold earth and sky apart. It is this wizard's daughter who is keeping the unhappy man from home in spite of all his tears day after day. She does her best to banish Ithaca from his memory with false and flattery words. With Odysseus, who would give anything for mere sight of the smoke rising up from his own land, can only yearn for that. Yet your Olympian heart is quite unmoved. Tell me, did the sacrifice he made by you by the Argives ship on the plains of Troy find no favor in your sight? Why so much bitterness against him, O Zeus? Nonsense, my child, replied the messenger of the clouds. How could I ever forget the admirable Odysseus? He is not only the wisest man alive, but has been the most generous in his offerings to the immortals who live in heaven. It is Poseidon, girdler of earth, who is so impeccable towards him on account of the great Polyphemus the Cyclops, whom Odysseus blinded. For Polyphemus is not only chief of his tribe but son of the Nymphosa, daughter of rocks, warden of the salt sea waves, and it was Poseidon who gave her this child when he slept with her in her cave in Hollywood, hallowed by the sea. This is why ever since
Polyphemus. Polyphemus.
Polyphemus was blinded. Poseidon, the Earthshaker, has kept Odysseus in exile, though he stopped short of killing him. But come now, let all of us there here put our heads together and find a way to get him home. I am sure Poseidon will relent, for he cannot possibly hold out alone against the united will of the immortal gods. Bright-eyed Athene answered him, Father of our son of Cronus, King of kings, if it is really the pleasure of the blessed gods that the wise Odysseus shall return to Ithaca, let us send our messenger Hermes, the giant killer, to the asylum of Ogygia to tell the fair. So
Calypso.
Calypso, at once of our decision that her long-suffering guest must now set out for home. Meanwhile, I myself will go to Ithaca to instill a little more spirit into Odysseus' son and to embolden him to call his long-haired compatriots to an assembly and speak his mind to that mob of suitors who spend their time in the wholesale slaughter of his sheep and fatted cattle, after which I shall send him off to Sparta and to Sandy follows to seek news of his father's return. It is possible that he may hear him, and the effort will redound to his credit. When
Athene. Athena. Athena.
When Athena had finished, she bound under her feet her lovely sandals of attarnish, untarnishable gold, which carried her with the speed of wind over the water or the unending land, and she seized her heavy spear with its point of sharpened bronze, the huge long spear with which she breaks the noble warrior's ranks when she seized her heavy spear with its point of sharpened. She seized her heavy spear with its point of sharpened bronze, the huge long spear with which she breaks the noble warrior's ranks. When she, the daughter of the Almighty Father, is roused to anger, thus she flashed down from the heights of Olympus on reaching Athaka,
Ithaca. Ithaca.
Itha.
In modern Greek, Ithaca is spelled Ithake and is pronounced as Ethahk. The pronunciation shifts depending on whether you are looking at modern usage or historical linguistics. Modern Greek pronunciation. 1. Spelling, Ithake.
Thake.
2. Phonetic guide, Ethahk. 3. IPA slash I theta a dot G. And 4. Key breakdown. The initial I makes a long E sound. The theta makes soft th sound like in think. The emphasis sits in
Thake. Trojanus finished bound under her feet. The huge long spear with which she breaks the noble warrior's ranks. When she, the daughter of the Almighty Father, is roused to anger, thus she flashed down from heights of Olympus. And reaching the Ithaca, she took her stand. On reaching Ithaca, she took her stand and the threshold of the court in front of Odysseus' house. And to look like a visitor, she assumed the appearance of a champion chieftain named Mendes, bronze spear in hand. She found the insolent suitors sitting in front of the door on the heights of oaks, and they themselves had slaughtered and playing draughts, while their squires and pages were busy around them. The squires bending wine and water in the mixing bowls, and the pages carving meat in lavish portions or washing the tables with sponge before they set them ready again. No one noticed her at first, but Telemachus, who was sitting disconsolate among the suitors, dreaming of how his noble father might come back from out of the blue, drive all these gallants pell-mell from the house, and so regain his royal honors and regain over his own once more. Full of these visions, which were natural in such company, he caught sight of Athena and set off at once for the porch, thinking it as a shame that a stranger should be kept standing at the gates. He went straight up to his visitors, shook hands, relieved him of his bronze spear, and gave him cordial greetings. Welcome, sir, to our hospitality, he said. You can tell us what has brought you when you have had some food. With this, he led the way, and Pallas Athena followed. Once inside the lofty hall, he took her spear and put it away by one of the great pillars in a wooden rack, with a number of other spears belonging to the stalwart Odysseus. He then conducted her to a couch chair over which he spread a rug and seated her there with a stall for her feet. For himself, he drew up an inlaid easy chair, well away from the crowd of suitors. for fear that his guest might take offense at the uproar and finding himself in such ill-mannered company turn with disdain from his meal. Moreover, he wished to question him about his absent father. Presently, a maid came with water in a handsome golden jug and poured it out over a silver basin so that they could rinse their hands. Presently, a maid came with water in a handsome golden jug and poured it out over a silver basin so that they could rinse their hands. She then drew a polished table to their side, and the staid housekeeper brought some bread and set it by them with a choice of dainties, helping them liberally to all she could offer. Meanwhile, a carver dished up for them on platters slices of various meats he had picked from his board and put gold cups beside them, which a steward filled up with wine as he passed them on his frequent rounds. The suitors came swagering in and took their seats in rows on the saddles and chairs. Their squares poured water on their hands, and the maids put piles of bread in baskets beside them. While the pages filled the mixing bowls of the brim with drink, they helped themselves to the good things spread before them. And when all had satisfied their hunger and thirst, the suitors turned their thoughts to other pleasures at the music and dancing without which no bouquet is complete. A herald brought a beautiful lyre and handed to the Phemius, the minstrel whom they had pressed into their service. He had just struck the first note for some delightful song when Telemachus leaned across to the bright-eyed Athena and whispered to her so that the others could not hear. I hope, sir, that I shall not embarrass you by my candor. How easy it is for the gang over there of think of nothing but music and songs. They are living scot free on another man, and men whose white bones are rotting in the rain upon some distant land or rolling in the salt sea waves. One glimpse of him in Ithaca, and they'd give all they have for a faster pair of legs. But as it is, he has come to some dreadful end. No one on earth can bring a spark of comfort by telling us that he'll come back. The day for that is gone forever. However, do tell me who you are and where you come from. What is your native town? Who are you? Who are your people? And since you certainly cannot have come on foot, what kind of vessel brought you here? How did the crew come to land you in Ithaca, and who did they claim to be? Then there is another thing I'd like to know. Is this your first visit to Ithaca, or have my people received you before? As is very likely, for my father used to entertain in our house just as much as he visited abroad. I will tell you everything, answered the bright-eyed goddess Athena. My father was the wise prince Achilles.
The standard pronunciation of Ankylos, or Ankylos, is Ankyolus.
Ankylos.
Here is the phonetic breakdown to help you say it correctly.
Ankylos. My own name is Mendes, and I am chieftain of the sea-faring Defiance. Defiance. As for my arrival in Ithaca, I came with my own ship and crew across the wind dark sea. We are bound for the foreign port of Themis with a cargo of gleaming iron which we meant to trade for copper. My ship is not but near the city but over there by the open country in Rithron Cove under the woods of Neon. As for our families, the ties between them go a long way back as the old Lord Lartes would tell you if you went and asked him. For I gathered that he no longer comes to town but lives a hard and lonely life on his farm with an old woman servant who puts his food and drink before him when he has tried himself out by dragging his legs up and down his vineyard on the hill. The reason for my presence here is this. I actually heard that he was home. I mean your father, and though it seems that the gods are putting every difficulty in his way, I still maintain that the good Odysseus is not dead, but alive somewhere on earth. I think he must be on some distant island out in the sea in the hands of enemies, savages, not doubt, who keep him there by force. Now I am no seer or soothsayer, but I will venture on a prophecy to you, one that I feel is inspired and will come true. Your father will not be exiled much longer from the land he loves so well. Not even if he is kept in irons. Trust Odysseus to get free. He always finds a way. But tell me, are you really Odysseus' son? How you have grown? You certainly have his head and his fine eyes. The likeness in startling to one who met him so often as I did, though that was before he embarked for Troy, and the Algive captains all set out in their great ships. From that day to this, Odysseus and I have never set eyes on each other. Telemachus answered discreetly, my friend. He said, I shall be candid too. My mother certainly says I am Odysseus' son, but for myself I cannot tell. It's a wise child that knows its father. If only if I were the son of some lucky man, overtaken by old age in the midst of his belongings as it is. And since you ask me, the man whose son they say I am is the most unfortunate that ever lived. And yet, said the goddess of the flashing eyes, with you as you are, and with Penelope for your mother, I cannot think that your house is doomed to an inglorious future. But here is another matter I should like you to explain. What is the meaning of this bouquet? Who are all these people, and what is your concern in the affair? No sense of subscription superior. Perhaps it is a dinner party or wedding fix. At any rate, the Ponket appear to be making free of your house is the most improper way. Any decent man could be disgusted at the sight of such unseemly behavior. My friend Tim soberly replied, you may well ask what is going on. There was a time when the house was by far off being phosphorus and respectable. Okay. I'll continue later on. So, bye.